Imagine waking up alone in a prehistoric wilderness, with no shelter, no medicine, and no idea what is waiting beyond the trees. You have a sharp stone, a little fire, and the knowledge your group taught you. A twisted ankle could become a death sentence. A deep cut could become an infection. A fall from a rocky slope could leave you unable to walk. And somewhere beyond the firelight, a predator might be watching for exactly that moment of weakness. For ancient humans, the wild was not a beautiful landscape waiting to be explored. It was a system of constant threats. Every river, cliff, storm, animal, and unfamiliar plant could turn ordinary movement into a fight for survival. And the most horrifying part is that many deaths probably began with something that seemed completely harmless. Consider the hunt. You track an animal across open ground, watching footprints, broken grass, and disturbed soil. Your body is exhausted, but the herd is finally close. One wrong step, one loose stone, one sudden charge, and the hunt changes instantly. Large prey could injure or kill a hunter before anyone could help. Even a successful hunt could leave behind broken bones, deep wounds, or internal injuries. And there was no emergency room waiting nearby. If you survived the attack but couldn't walk, the danger wasn't over. Your group might carry you, feed you, and protect you. But every day you remained injured meant more energy had to be spent keeping you alive. Now imagine stepping into a river. Water often means safety. For ancient humans, a river could be a lifeline and a trap at the same time. Strong currents, slippery rocks, sudden depth changes, and flash floods could turn familiar water into a deadly environment. If someone was swept away, there was no rescue helicopter, no emergency phone call, and no modern flotation equipment. The group could only watch, search, or risk following. Predators also understood rivers. Animals gathered there because they needed to drink, which meant humans and predators were sometimes drawn toward exactly the same places. A quiet trip for water could become an encounter with an animal that was stronger, faster, and already adapted to the terrain. And then there was something ancient humans could not simply fight with a spear: infection. A wound doesn't have to look catastrophic to become deadly. A small cut contaminated by soil, animal tissue, or dirty water could become infected. Without antibiotics or modern surgery, the body had to fight the infection itself. If the wound became severe, fever, weakness, dehydration, and systemic infection could turn a survivable injury into a fatal one. We often picture ancient humans dying dramatically, attacked by a giant predator, crushed by a falling rock, or killed during a hunt. Those deaths certainly could happen. But survival was also threatened by quieter disasters: a wound that wouldn't heal, a bone that broke badly, a fever that kept rising, or an injury that made gathering food impossible. And this is where ancient humans had something modern people often underestimate: each other. A person who couldn't walk was not automatically abandoned. Groups could share food, protect injured members, and help them recover. Evidence of long-term survival with serious injuries shows that some ancient humans lived for years despite physical limitations. That means cooperation wasn't just kindness. It could be a survival technology. But even cooperation had limits. If an entire group became trapped by extreme weather, the problem multiplied. Cold could drain body heat. Heavy rain could destroy fire and shelter. Snow could block movement. A storm could make hunting impossible for days. When food reserves were tiny, several bad days could become a crisis. And hunger itself could make every other danger worse. A starving hunter takes greater risks. A tired person moves more slowly. A weakened body struggles to recover from injury. The wilderness doesn't need one giant catastrophe when several small problems can arrive together. That is the real horror of prehistoric survival. The wild didn't always kill ancient humans with one dramatic attack. Sometimes, it stacked problems on top of each other until there was nowhere left to escape. A fall became an injury. The injury became an infection. The infection caused weakness. Weakness made hunting impossible. Hunger followed. And suddenly, something that began as one ordinary mistake had become a fight. The person could no longer win. But there was an even more terrifying threat, because some dangers didn't care how skilled you were. You could know how to track animals, build fire, shape stone, and find edible plants, and still encounter something you had never seen before. A strange mushroom, a poisonous plant, contaminated water, an unfamiliar animal. The wilderness was full of things ancient humans had to learn through experience. And sometimes experience came with a price. Every lesson had a cost, because people learned the safest path, the right plant, or the wrong animal from mistakes someone had survived, sometimes at a price. But this is also why humans became so adaptable. Every dangerous encounter could teach a group something: which plants to avoid, which rivers were safe, which cliffs were unstable, which animals were most dangerous, and which injuries required immediate care. Survival knowledge accumulated, because forgetting could be fatal. And that may be the most important difference between ancient humans and the wilderness around them. They weren't stronger than everything. They weren't faster than everything. They weren't armed with modern technology. They survived by learning. Every scar could become a lesson. Every dangerous animal could become a warning. Every failed hunt could improve the next one. Every person who survived an injury could carry knowledge back to the group. The wild was horrifying. But humans slowly turned its dangers into information. And once you understand that, the story of prehistoric death becomes something much bigger than a list of terrifying ways to die. It becomes the story of how a fragile animal learned to recognize danger before danger recognized it. And sometimes, the final danger was not outside the group at all. It was exhaustion. When the body had nothing left, even a familiar path could become deadly. One mistake, one missed meal, one night without warmth could push a person beyond recovery. That is what makes the prehistoric wilderness so terrifying. There was rarely a single moment when survival ended. More often, danger accumulated quietly until the smallest weakness became the final one. Yet every generation that survived passed its warnings forward: the safest plants, the dangerous rivers, the animals to avoid, the places to shelter, the skills that kept fire alive. Ancient humans did not conquer the wild. They learned its rules. And those rules were written in scars, stories, and the memory of everyone who came home.